You're listening to Be Well by Kelly LeVeque. Hey friends, welcome back to my second solo episode. In today's episode, I'm going to answer your questions around what my morning routine is, my movement routine, the supplements I love, and how I'm supporting all of my body composition changes with my nutrition. So let's jump right in. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. I post in my Instagram stories a link that you can use to leave audio questions for me, and I love to hear them and answer them on these solo episodes. So look out for those and check the show notes for that link as well. If you have a burning question, I want to make sure that it gets answered. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'm going to start doing more and more solo short episodes to answer your questions and support you guys at home. So let's jump right in. Here's our first question.
Hey, Kelly, my question for you is, what do you personally like to do for movement? And how do you incorporate that into your day-to-day life and support nutrition around that movement? For example, I like to lift heavy weights, but I find that when I am progressing in the gym, I'm reaching for protein, fat, and carb at every meal to help keep me feeling satiated and fueled for the workout so that I'm not kind of hitting a brain fog or an irritable state. So just curious what your thoughts are on that, because I know you're for the protein, fat, fiber, and greens, and just kind of how that intertwines with heavy weightlifting.
That is a great question. Your muscles love carbohydrates because they store that glucose as glycogen, and that becomes the fuel source that they use for heavy lifting and working out. And there is nothing wrong with carbohydrates, especially if you are lifting heavy. Because as you can imagine, let's say that you did eat something that was a whole food carbohydrate, rice, sweet potatoes, and you eat that, it is digested into blood sugar or glucose, and that blood sugar goes up after you eat something like that. Insulin is released to help shuttle that glucose into your muscles to be stored as glycogen so that your muscles can use it when you work out. And that's when we exhaust that stored sugar. So when you are working out, you are using those stored carbohydrates as a fuel source. And then after a workout, your muscles are very insulin sensitive and hungry for more of those carbohydrate sources. Now, the key here is that we don't want to be having them on their own, because that would cause for a high, fast spike and a hard crash. So I love, first of all, that the caller who submitted this question is eating meals and not snacking. So the key with the Fab4 is about looking at our sources. So we have protein, fat, fiber, and greens. So the protein and fat are delivering our amino acids, which are going to help rebuild those muscles. And really what we want is to build lean muscle mass, because that ultimately is our metabolism. The fat is delivering those essential fatty acids, think about our omega-3s specifically. I love those anti-inflammatory fats. And then the fiber and greens are looking at carbohydrate sources that come with fiber. So in my first book, Body Love, I talk about light starches. So these are not full-blown carbohydrates, but they're almost like a half carb. And you can think about great sources of that would be squashes and carrots and parsnips and beans, where there's a lot of fiber present and a little more sugar or carbohydrates than, say, a zucchini or asparagus or cucumber would have, because those are pretty negligible. They're not going to have a very big effect on your blood sugar at all, but you are looking to refuel those muscles. So this is where the pendulum, or the sort of cascade of carbohydrates from non-starchy all the way to starchy, can happen. So you think like, okay, if someone isn't really working out that hard and they're looking to support blood sugar balance, those non-starchy vegetables, those leafy greens, they're going to be perfect for that type of a client or a patient. And then when someone starts to work out, maybe they're doing yoga or they're going for walks, those light starches can support refueling those muscles in a easy way. But if someone is lifting heavy, their body is going to crave a more starchy starch. And so I just would advise those clients to lean on really the more whole food carbohydrates, quinoa, rice, sweet potatoes. Those are white potatoes. Our family loves Jesse and Ben's fries, which I've mentioned before. Those are tallow or avocado oil French fries. So when I make those for the kids and I've had a heavy lift, those are delicious and fun. And I think the serving size matters. So if you are lifting really heavy and you're feeling exhausted, you want to incorporate some starches. And again, the serving size matters. If I were to have you as a client and you had access to a continuous glucose monitor, I would see how high your blood sugar goes after a workout that is fueled with a starchy carbohydrate source after. So let's say you went in the gym, you lifted heavy, it was the afternoon, you came out, you had dinner, and you had a cup of sweet potatoes, or you had a cup of my 50-50 rice, which is half cauliflower rice, half regular rice, or you had a cup of squash. We're coming into fall, whether that's acorn squash or butternut squash, and we got to track where your blood sugar went. The goal would be simply to keep you in that healthy range of 70 milligrams per deciliter to 120 milligrams per deciliter. And if you're having it with the protein and fat, you're elongating that blood sugar curve. You're not having a very high exaggerated spike and a crash. And instead, that protein and that fat and those other fiber sources on your plate, whether you're serving up non-starchy vegetables with that meal like broccoli or zucchini, all of that is in play here and going to be digested together. So you're going to have a slower release of the glucose from those starchy carbohydrates as opposed to having them on their own. So we want to stick with having meals, which you're already doing. We want to have protein, fat, and fiber, and bonus if you're having those leafy greens in that meal alongside those carbohydrates. And then I would just track how you feel. If you don't have access to a continuous glucose monitor, and I would track your symptoms. When you fuel up at meals and you have carbohydrates, do you have energy without feeling a crash 3 hours later? If you're feeling a crash 3 hours later, I would lighten up your starch and move more towards adding like black beans to Mexican salad or any type of Mexican meal that you're making for your family or for yourself. If you are feeling like, no, I have half a cup of white rice or I have a cup of sweet potatoes and I feel great and energized, then I'd much rather have your muscles fueled for a stronger, better, longer, heavier workout, because that's ultimately going to get us better body composition at the end. Now, for me personally, what do I love to do? I love to do hot yoga. I absolutely love it. What do I know I need to do? Lift heavy. And what I also have come to realize is that for me personally, schedules matter the most. I have 3 little boys, 7 and under. I'm running the Be Well by Kelly business. I have 8 team members. We have contractors. We have our whole podcast team. We have our social media team. We have our supplement team and everyone in between. And on top of that, I want to take care of myself as well and be in relationship with my husband, and all of it is a lot. So for me, it's about getting the workout done and doing what's going to cause the biggest bang for my buck. And so that meant for me moving back to a traditional gym. So I have a Curl Fitness membership in my neighborhood. It is the closest gym to my house. It is, it is nice and clean and serviceable. It has Smith machines and a weight racks and kettlebells and a floor for me to lift weights. And so I am lifting weights 2 times a week at a minimum, preferably 3, but knowing that I could fit that into my schedule if it's a morning where I am waking up, having my coffee with creatine, getting my boys out the door for school, dropping them off, going to the gym. I don't have to fit it in with a class schedule time. And that was becoming a problem in my schedule. If there is resistance to a workout or you can't make it happen because that workout time or schedule doesn't align with your schedule, it can't be the excuse that you're not working out. Plus, I am looking to hold on to lean muscle mass. I'm cycling regularly. I just finished breastfeeding Julian, and I'm at a place where this is my chance to put the muscle mass that I've lost over the last, let's say 7-8 years of being pregnant, breastfeeding, really like focus on holding on to lean muscle mass I have, making it really robust, building it up. And I know that's only going to happen if I'm lifting heavy, and it doesn't need to be a long workout. And that's the benefit of a traditional gym or a garage gym if you have one. And so I'm back to the basics. Reminds me of when I had graduated from USC and I was a 24-hour fitness member. I mean, it just needs to be serviceable. Put the good music on and get moving. 30 minutes is all it takes to really hold on to that lean muscle mass. If you're lifting heavy, I'd rather have someone lift heavy and do less and feel sore and see those benefits. And so that is what I feel like I have to do, but I'm also enjoying it very much because I feel strong in my core, in my back, things that used to really cause me a lot of pain in carrying toddlers and even 4 and 5-year-olds around in my house, I now feel really good about. So I think we all have to come to terms with what we love to do may not always be what supports our metabolic rate the best, our longevity the best. Now, I just want to prevent falling in my 70s, getting a broken hip, and being put into assisted living or needing support. Like, I am looking to put on and hold on to the lean muscle mass that I have so that I am functioning, full of energy, and feeling my best. And for me, that means that I do cycle carbs. I do a lot of light starches like the squashes, the beans, the parsnips, the roasted carrots. I put those in. I put as many veggies into our meals as I can. I love having that 50-50 rice on hand. It's super easy. I can make a huge batch of it and keep it in my fridge. Sometimes I'll even freeze it. So having this stuff on hand is important. And fruit also can play a role in that. So I personally enjoy having a traditional Fab 4 meal. Maybe that's a loaded salad and then having like some apple or some berries and almost entertaining that as like some sort of a dessert. But I really just focus on, is it whole foods? How do I feel? Am I finding that I'm craving more sugar? And I can tell if I'm on a blood sugar roller coaster if I start to incorporate too many starchy carbohydrates and I know I'm not burning them. My indication of that is that I have more cravings. And so if that crash is happening and you're having more cravings, that's just a little bit of a red flag. Hey, let's check in on my blood sugar. And if you don't want to get a continuous glucose monitor, I would get a traditional glucometer. I use that with clients for a decade. You go to CVS, you get a glucometer, you prick your finger, test your blood, and you can check it prior to your meal, an hour, 2 hours, and 3 hours after your meal. Do that for a couple days, track your blood sugar curve, and that gives you a great idea of how your body is utilizing the carbohydrate sources you're eating, and whether the symptoms are related to your eating patterns. So that's me. But if I had it my way, I would go to yoga every single day and hear the music and be with friends and be in community and give my brain a little break. But it is equally as important for me that I am able to show up in my life strong, out of pain, and able to keep up with my boys, to be quite honest. I'm thrilled to introduce a brand I truly trust for anyone starting their journey to parenthood. It's called WeNatal. As a nutritionist, my number one recommendation for anyone trying to conceive or who's expecting is always to ensure your nutrient status is on point. And that starts with high-quality prenatal supplements. The truth is, many prenatal vitamins out there use ingredients that aren't bioavailable, meaning your body can't fully absorb or use them. Even with key nutrients like vitamin D, many formulas don't pack enough of a punch to make a real impact. And that's why I'm thrilled to share WeNatal with you. Their prenatal vitamins are carefully crafted with bioavailable ingredients like folate, choline, and iron to support both mom's health and baby's development. And here's something special. WeNatal offers a prenatal formula for men too. We Needle for Men contains essential nutrients like zinc and CoQ10 to support sperm health and overall vitality. It's all about laying the right foundation for your family. Every ingredient is clean, science-backed, and third-party tested to ensure you're giving your growing family the absolute best. And here's an amazing offer for you. When you start any We Needle prenatal subscription, you'll get a free 30-day supply of We Needle's Omega-3 DHA Plus fish oil valued at $34.95. So visit weneadle.com/Kelly today to claim your free Omega-3 DHA Plus while supplies last, because your family deserves the best from the very start. This question is about my supplement routine.
Can you please go through your morning supplement routine, including when you take your amino acids, your creatine, your protein powder, probiotics, and anything else?
So let's start with right when I wake up. I head downstairs to make breakfast for my boys and get everybody out the door. And I click that coffee maker on. I have my coffee with 10 to 20 grams of creatine, depending on my sleep. So if I've had a poor night's sleep, if Julian was up in the middle of the night, if we got to bed late or we're woken up early, depends on the child. Julian likes to wake up in the middle of the night sometimes. Sebastian loves to wake up in the 5 o'clock hour. If my sleep hasn't felt like a 10 out of 10, I will go for a heavier dose of creatine in the morning. I don't feel any side effects to creatine anymore. In the beginning of my use with creatine, I noticed that I felt like slightly puffy, or that, for example, when I was wearing my jeans or socks, I would notice the lines from my clothing on my skin. I no longer notice that. I've been taking creatine for a very long time now, months and months and months and months. We're at years now. So I have no problem with that. And I love it. And I actually reach for creatine because of the cognitive benefits more than anything else. But we will get to the body composition benefits as well. So creatine in my coffee. At this point, I also make a large glass of water and take my supplements. And not only does having my supplements by my coffee maker and having my creatine coffee maker help trigger me to drink water, which was a problem for a long time. I would always reach for coffee first, not reach for water, and not have water until later in the morning, and I felt dehydrated and I started to notice a difference. I would reach for more caffeine. So my way to mitigate caffeine intake is to increase my water intake. So I'll have a glass of water with my supplements, and at that point I'm taking seed probiotic, I'm taking my multivitamin, I'm taking an omega-3, vitamin D3, K2, and those are guaranteed every couple days, and it's not like clockwork. I am reaching for a ancestral blend style spleen supplement that gives me the iron that my body needs because I have a history of being anemic. So that's kind of what's in the routine right now. So it's coffee with creatine, water with my supplements, and I'm sitting down for breakfast with the boys. Now, for the boys, we make a lot of Teton grass-fed beef sausages, we make eggs, we have avocado, we have berries. I will make a smoothie. So depending on if I'm making a smoothie for the whole family and for the boys, right now we're kind of on a fall kick. So the chai protein powder with berries or bananas, I do this thing where anytime we have sort of like the almost old bananas where people would save them for banana bread, sometimes I do that, but I break them into thirds or into quarters, throw them in a freezer bag. And so I'll add like berries and maybe like one slice of banana. And I'm making those smoothies for the family. Now, if my boys are not into the smoothie in the morning, I am also making lattes. So pumpkin spice blended with a little bit of unsweetened almond milk, and I will make an espresso with the creatine inside, with the Be Well by Kelly pumpkin spice blended with frothed hot almond milk, hot or cold, depending on my mood. But if they are on board for a smoothie, I always jump on that because I put inulin in there from Now Foods. I put psyllium husk from Now Foods in there. I'm adding our protein powder and any fruits and vegetables that I can sneak in or that they will allow for. So a handful of spinach, some frozen cauliflower rice, berries, like I said, the banana, kind of just going with whatever they're willing to drink. And even if it's, they're having a quarter of a cup, and they're on board, I'm making it and sharing it with them. And Julian is on a smoothie kick, so that's been really fun because smoothie time. So it kind of all happens right there in the morning. The only supplements I'm saving or taking later in the day would be my magnesium. And that's something that I absolutely never forget to take because the L-theanine and the GABA feel very relaxing in my body, make me feel like I've had a glass of wine, and really allow for that really good sleep. And we'll talk about magnesium in a little bit. But the creatine in my coffee is a no-brainer. I don't think there's been a day I've skipped it since I've had access to our Crevitalis, and I love it. And highly, highly, highly recommend it. And there was a study, which was really interesting, that looked at creatine intake, and it was a placebo. So it was a 12-week double-blind placebo study that looked at people resistance training. And what they did is they separated two groups. They had the placebo group, and then they had a group that for the first week of the 12 weeks took 25 grams of creatine, and the subsequent 11 weeks took 5 grams of creatine a day. And what they found was at the end of the resistance training study, the placebo group had muscle gains of 6 to 15%, but the creatine group had gains of 35%. So when you see that kind of a difference, you're really motivated to consume it, knowing that there are no side effects, that it's safe for everyone from pregnant women to young children. Studies in creatine go back into infancy, and it's the longest studied supplement on the market. Now, I have a episode that went live with Abby Smith-Ryan that I recommend that you go back and listen to, because not only does it talk about how beneficial it can be for postpartum pregnancy, but really in this phase of cycling normally, but coming up against perimenopause and menopause, how can it support brain fog, cognition, prevention of Alzheimer's, feeling your best. The studies are fascinating and really motivating to make that part of your regular routine. And it's been something that I'm getting everyone on, and even will give to my children occasionally if I feel like I haven't seen them eat a lot of creatine sources like red meat, or I feel like they're under-proteined, or if they've had a poor night's sleep. So do your research, dive into the research, but that is a supplement that I do not skip. So the protein powder, like I said, can either be a latte, it can be a smoothie. There are mornings where I have eggs and the Teton sausages and avocado, and I'm out the door. And I may come back and use a decaffeinated cold brew that I found at Whole Foods and have a protein latte later in the afternoon, or a chocolate milk at night. So really, like, as we move into fall and winter where it gets a little bit colder, I use my protein powder in different ways. When it comes to amino acids, people really don't understand how beneficial these are. So essential amino acids are different from branched chain amino acids. Essential amino acids are the 9 essential amino acids you need to get from your food. It doesn't matter if you are vegan, vegetarian, fruitarian, or carnivore. Anywhere in between that, when you are eating protein sources, your body is scavenging for these 9 essential amino acids because you cannot make them endogenously. You need to get them from the outside world. Your body doesn't make them. We need to eat them and absorb them. And what they allow for is for building of muscles. They make our neurotransmitters, our hormones. They allow us to heal. If you are lifting heavy in the gym and you don't have the amino acids on board, and you're not eating enough protein or don't have the amino acids on board for recovery, you're not getting the benefits of your workout. And so I sourced our amino acids from Japan. They are fermented vegan essential amino acids in the specific ratios that cause muscle protein synthesis. And so when you think about essential amino acids, if a food source contains all 9 essential amino acids, it's considered a complete protein. Now, when it comes to essential amino acids, I think they're underutilized. I used to use essential amino acids with clients who had gone through hip replacement surgery, who were coming out of postpartum and C-sections, who had autoimmune diseases, or you can think about like celiac disease, Crohn's disease, maybe they had hypothyroidism and specifically Hashimoto's. All the functional MDs that I worked with would use these because essential amino acids are the building blocks of making all your muscles, your ligaments, your tendons, your neurotransmitters, your hormones. They are what your body uses to build itself and heal itself. And so when you think about lifting in the gym and doing all this hard work, maybe you have creatine on board and you're taking electrolytes and you're sleeping really well and you get in the gym and you lift heavy and you increase your load or your reps and you're really trying to see a change in body composition, but you don't have the amino acids on board to recover and rebuild and heal and hold on to that lean muscle mass, we're missing a major piece of that puzzle. And so that's why you hear everyone screaming on the internet that you need to be getting 1 gram per pound of body mass of complete proteins, meaning like eggs, fish, chicken, steak, pork. Pick your favorites, right? But what essential amino acids are simply just the 9 amino acids that your body is scavenging for when you are eating complete proteins. And they are in a specific blend that is high in leucine. So over 2 grams of leucine per serving. And what that is causing is it is causing the trigger of muscle protein synthesis. So not only are you getting all 9 of those essential amino acids, but it's a leucine-rich dose to create muscle protein synthesis. And what we were able to find in research, because the amino acid blend that I source from Japan is vegan fermented essential amino acids that are high in leucine and that have been studied, this exact blend, and studied in women, what they found was 1.5 grams of our essential amino acid blend is equivalent, no different than having 40 grams of whey protein. So it's so simple to incorporate, and it is especially beneficial in holding on to lean muscle mass, decreasing fat mass post-workout. So when it comes to like my workout drink of choice right now, it is a 40-ounce Yeti full of water with element electrolytes, and I love the lemon flavor right now. I'm so happy that they made that a forever flavor. Don't give me this seasonal stuff. I need that one for good. And then I put a 6.5 gram serving, which is our serving size of our essential amino acids, plain, shake it up, and that is what I'm drinking throughout my workout and after my workout to ensure that I have the essential amino acids available in my bloodstream to go do what they need to do to hold on to and build that lean muscle mass and really give me the benefit of all of that hard work in the gym. So the best time to take essential amino acids if you are looking for body composition changes is post-workout. That does not mean that they are not beneficial throughout the entire day. So they are great for people who undereat protein. They are great for people on GLP-1s. They are great for people who are vegan or vegetarian and aren't getting enough complete proteins in their life. If you have cravings for sugar and you're under eating protein, this is a great thing to do. It is, for me personally, when I take them in the afternoon and I haven't worked out, let's say I've had 3 back-to-back podcasts and a Zoom meeting on top of that, and then had to check in on email after that or do something for social media, I might end sort of like that long stint of working at 1, 2, 3 o'clock, and it feels like I've run a bit of a marathon. I will blend up with a hand blender my lemon amino acids and a big glass of water and drink it. Cravings go away. I feel like my brain is turned back on. I have an increase in energy. So the benefits are seen really in a very holistic way throughout the body. But if you are specifically looking for body composition changes or you're using any type of peptide for weight loss, this is insurance that your body is getting the essential amino acids that it needs to hold on to the lean muscle mass you have and give you the benefits of your big workouts. So that's how I feel about my supplement stack and what I have on board. Other things that I incorporate really depend on the day and what I have on the books. So I love beta hydroxybutyrate, ketone IQ for when I'm doing podcasts. It is brain fuel, anti-inflammatory. If I have a really, really hard workout that makes me super sore, I also love to bring those on board. And then when it comes to the magnesium happens at night.
Hi, your magnesium supplement just says that it is a magnesium blend. Can you tell me what kind of magnesium is in there and at what quantity?
So our magnesium is a blend. You get 500 milligrams of magnesium along with GABA, L-theanine, and B6. And the reason for that is that I wanted a magnesium that you would feel like you wanted to take at night, but also one that delivered superior bioavailability. So when people read the label, they read sucrosomial magnesium oxide as the first magnesium in our blend. And they think to themselves, magnesium oxide, isn't that the one that you don't absorb the most? That is the least absorbable form of magnesium. That is the one that causes people to have GI side effects and bowel movements and all the rest. Yes, you're correct. Magnesium oxide on average can be absorbed at the lowest at like 4%. And I think at the highest I'd seen, it's like 11 or 12%. That's very low. It means you're getting rid of all of it. And really it's being used more as a laxative. Now, what people don't understand is that sucrosomial magnesium is the highest bioavailable form of magnesium. And that's because it's wrapped in a phospholipid bilayer, a phospholipid layer. And so what happens is that it encases that magnesium, allows for it to bypass stomach acids and be absorbed through the intestines. And it has 20% higher bioavailability than magnesium citrate. And across the market is the highest bioavailable through research. So that's why I chose to put sucrosomial magnesium oxide as our first blend of our 4 magnesium blend. Then we have chelate, biglycinate, and citrate. So magnesium biglycinate is pretty popular. People know about that one because it is calming to the nervous system. It supports against stress and anxiety. And then the other 2 are also popular magnesium salts that are part of blends and can increase, are either higher in bioavailability or can increase blood serum levels. But it is really important to know that sucrosomial magnesium outpaces any other magnesium on the market and is research backed. And that's why we chose that as the first magnesium in our blend and why it is the majority of our blend. And then the L-theanine and GABA are supportive to our sleep and relaxation, that calming effect before bed. And so that is almost like the addition that is the trigger of, I really want to feel that before I fall asleep. And so the benefits that we see with our blend is that increase in blood serum levels, that relaxation, that supportive sleep. And we can also get a higher milligram dose without the side effects. A lot of people have to be at around the 250 to 350 milligram dose, or otherwise they see side effects, where we're able to get up to that 500 milligram dose without the GI side effects of loose stools, sort of that grumbly, what's going to happen effect. So really, I'm the kind of person that if I can't do it better, if I don't see something out there that is pure, more bioavailable, or I need a product that has minimal high quality ingredients and it's not already available, then I'm excited to go out and make it. Otherwise, you're probably not going to see it made by Be Well by Kelly. So that's the supplement stack at this point. I can't think if there's anything else. I think if we're coming down with a cold or we're not feeling great, I will double down on vitamin D, sometimes taking as high as 20,000 IUs a day. I will bring high-dose vitamin C and zinc on board. I love the xylitol nose spray if we're kind of coming in contact with viruses or, Sebastian and I we have a history of sinus infections, being the snotty kid in class. And that's been really supportive, along with a neti pot and using our Jasper air purifier, making sure that our humidity in our house is intact, and being close to the beach. We don't have to do much with that to keep it where we need it to be. But those are kind of the things that I look for when it comes to not only supporting my body on the regular, but also being ready for cold and flu season. Because be well by me doesn't sound great when I'm super sick. So knock on wood, kids have been in school for over 2.5 months, and we've only had one. So I feel like that's a win compared to last year, which my podcast team knows I was laid up way more than anybody. So that's that.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Be Well by Kelly LeVeque podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review in your favorite podcast app and subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. We're also excited to share that full-length video episodes are now on YouTube and Spotify, so you can watch along as you listen. The best way to support me and the show is by sharing it with your friends and family. Your recommendations make all the difference. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson. The video is recorded by Luke Rodriguez and edited by Jesse Trout. Sound mixing is by Mike Fry. See you next time.
The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical or mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or healthcare team first. Shout out to the Newport Beach Pendry for hosting us. I'm so grateful to record in such a beautiful space that truly elevates the podcast experience for myself and my guests. From the stunning design to their incredible hospitality, it's a perfect setting for meaningful conversations and creative energy. Hey, thanks, Pendry.